I wanted to have it as well because all the evidence shows that education as well as support is one of the key pieces for helping people recover. So generally, recovery graph, we'll just go over when there's an impact. Usually, ideally, good recovery, you get right back up to that high energy level. We're going to be focusing on the blue and the red. That mental energy, either like you can feel that you're functioning, but you're still pretty symptomatic, or even like not functioning.
Mm-hmm.
So this one's very common. Let me know if you've seen it before as well.
Mm-hmm.
Very common is when we do an activity, really any activity, we do it to an intensity where we have these significant symptoms. It's like huge headache, your dizziness is wild, or your nausea is intense. And we have to really like stop that intensity all the way down. And even when we stop the intensity, usually that significant symptom does not go away like that. It follows with us, it lingers with us. Very common one is people say they got to take a huge nap after.
Yeah.
So that's very common. This is why we try to live on this pacing strategy. When we talk about treatment or when we give any recommendations, we want to live in this pacing strategy here. In the science, they say a 2 to 3 point increase on a scale of 10. That's terribly hard to explain to someone. I like to think of it as like, maybe you had a little headache, and then when you started doing something, you're like noticing it more. You can still focus. It's not really taking away from your concentration,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not significant. It's not like a full shutdown.
Right.
And the goal is to get to that point and then take a rest. So we can do smaller chunks of activity more often. So we're actually accomplishing more, even though it feels like at some point, you have to take that kind of hard stop and then come back to it after. It's still allowing you to accomplish more because you're not hitting that significant point where it's shutting you down right to a nap. So I'm going to have like my stopwatch, my phone, maybe you have like a big clock with the numbers. I find that one helpful. Yeah. And you're just reading until you're like, well, okay, maybe my headache's a little noticeable, or maybe my eyes are a little something. Okay, yeah. I'm going to stop, write down the time. Really important to write down the time so you know. You also need to time that rest after. So once you put down the book and you do whatever activity is restful for you, mm-hmm. preferably, something not really aerobic or, not very cognitive, and you time that as well. For the activity, you're going to repeat at 80%. This is just an arbitrary number that they recommend. Just think like a minute or two less. So if you could read for 10 minutes, you're going to read at 8 minutes, 7 minutes, something like that. Your rest is going to be the same. Rest does not change. And the goal, long-term, is that you can start increasing this. So basically, when you're doing your reading, let's say you've repeated it, you've done it for a couple of days now, add to a minute, add to 2 minutes. Or if you're at the 30 minutes, maybe add 5. Maybe add 10. And that's not every time you do it. That's after multiple times. So usually we just say simply like a week. Or if it's appointment-based, we would say, at our next appointment, we'll review, that kind of thing. So that's the goal. That's what we want. We want to be able to increase that intensity over time.
Okay.
When questions related to this, you can ask directly to me. If anybody else joins in the future, or anybody else joins in. And then also if you have any questions for like specific members of our team, some of the staff, you can ask me and I can direct it to them for later.